Thank you, Carl. Welcome back, John.
Thanks for having me.
So today I want to talk about success.
All right. You want to talk about it? Or does everyone want to know about it?
Everyone wants to talk about it.
Yes, everyone wants success.
Everyone wants to know about
Everyone wants
and
success.
everyone wants to be successful.
Everyone wants to be successful, I think. What do you want to know about it? My opinions, my views, my thoughts?
How can we be successful?
But that's big. Success is not this. I mean, success is different for everyone, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. Like, I mean, you know, if I was in school and I wasn't, you know, the most perceptive or the easiest to learn really, and I got like all C, I don't know how you grade, but you know, if I got all C's, you know, I would say that would be very successful because, you know, I'm not that, you know, inclined for education, where somebody else, you know, who doesn't really have to even apply themselves in school can get all A's and they go, well, that's easy. That's not really success either. I mean, if someone gets all A's but they don't have to make an effort for it. I mean, success is something that, as far as I'm concerned, is where you set a goal in your mind of something that you want to achieve, something that you want to achieve, whether it's in personal circumstances, whether it's something, you know, that means something to you when it comes to maybe athletics or you know, family or relationship or business, whatever goals that you've set for yourself. And I think success is sort of measured in the journey of getting there, not necessarily the accolades in the very end. I mean,
Everyone's perception is different.
Absolutely. I mean, not everyone wants to get up on a stage and win a trophy and say, listen, everyone, I'm number one. Though that would be successful to some degree. Someone else might look at it and go, oh my God, I'd like to be like that. He's so successful or she's so successful. But then how do you know they're successful? They could be unhappy in everything else in their life. They could have all these things, they could have all this money, but they're still not successful because they still are not complete in their life feeling, you know, happy. I mean, what is success? Is success money? You know, I don't know if success is money. I don't know if it's power. I mean, I know lots of powerful, successful people that they can do whatever they feel like, but they don't know love. They don't know family. They don't know, there's no trust around them. They're always looking behind their back at what's going to happen next. So I'm not sure that that's successful. So, I mean, I think a person has to, you know, to look at themselves and start, you know, seeing what it is that they want in life and just start making the moves and taking the path and walking this whole journey towards it.
But how can one, I mean, if, let's say, I want to be successful in life, how do I go about it? What do I do?
But it's such a vague statement. I want to be successful in life. But life is made up of all these different components. Like, I mean, you know, I woke up this morning and I have to eat, you know, so am I successful with my nutritional life? You know, then I have to have a relationship. Am I successful in my relationship life? Am I successful in my spiritual life? Am I successful in my own life when it comes to just, you know, relaxing and maybe meditating on my own self and finding joy or finding peace or finding balance? Am I successful? Then of course I'm, you know, here. Am I successful with what I'm saying? What I'm saying bringing success, you know? So I mean, how does one say, you know, I want to reach success in my life? I mean, I think one should find happiness and contentment in their life, and I think that's what brings success. And I think it's not one thing or one aspect or this or that. I think it's a lot of different things. I don't think a person has to look amazing to be successful. I don't think a person has to have I think a person has to decide what it is that they want for themselves and what they see success as. Because, you know, there are women out there that, you know, their success is the fact that they have a healthy home life. They have 4 little kids running around. You know, they have a husband and they have a home. You know, and they're content in that. And I mean, you know, they don't have the best of everything, but then they never really aspired to have the best of everything. They just wanted to have something that made them both feel safe, you know. And isn't
so you
that
have
success?
to see what makes you happy first.
Yeah, you have to see what, you know, what it is that motivates you, what moves you, what floats your boat, you know, so to speak. I mean, for myself, I've always been, to be honest with you, I've always been successful at what I've done, you know. If I played sports, I was always successful. When I was a kid, in sports days, I always usually get first place in track and field. And whenever I played sports, I would win most valuable player. And I was drafted in a professional league, for sports. And I've done many things where I've won many, many things. And, I look back and I say, am I successful? And I say, well, not because of that. I don't feel that that's my success. I feel that I'm successful when I'm, doing something that makes me happy. Mm-hmm. So those things are part of my success. Sharing, communicating, talking to people, trying to inspire people or motivate or give people a different perspective on life, just a different perspective. Not to say my opinion is right, because my opinion can only be right for me sometimes. But, if sharing or giving or, being involved and trying to do something good in life, to leave a legacy that is not just all about me, then I start to see that my life is successful in that respect, and I feel good with those things, because it's not the standard idea of what success is in the world.
So would you follow your heart or your mind?
I follow them both. It depends on what the situation calls for. I mean, not everything should be led by the mind on all things. Sometimes you have to lead it with your heart, I mean, you walk down the street one day and you see somebody, without food, or you see someone hurting, or you see someone in their own life suffering and struggling. Sometimes you don't use your head, because if you used your head, you would say, well, listen, maybe I shouldn't get involved. It's not my business. That person's there for a reason. And if I touch their life in any respect, maybe I make it worse or better. And that's thinking about it too much. And then sometimes you just go with your heart and say, I don't want to see this. I want to do what I can at this moment. And at that moment, you go with your heart. So, as I said, success is not an easy answer. A lot of times, I've had this expression I've used for a lot of years. Life is the stone that sharpens the knife, mm-hmm. and that means that life can be very tumultuous and very hurtful and painful. And there's lots of experiences that happen in a person's life that, as they're going through it, you don't see past it. It's very hard and it hurts and it causes suffering and such. But as you continue to, use your internal strength to survive it, this too shall pass. And when it passes and you are sitting in a position much further down the road looking back, you will say that you've been sharpened mm-hmm. by this experience.
You get tougher and tougher.
I don't like to say tougher in that respect. I mean, I think I know what you mean. You become stronger, mm-hmm. but I don't like tougher, because tougher to me means you become more cold and more hard and more turned off to life. I think sometimes you don't get tougher, you get more sensitive and more open, because you've survived it. Mm-hmm. And so when you survive tough things, hard things, you find yourself in a position understanding both sides of the equation, the negative and the positive. You made it through. So sometimes you can be more sensitive and more open to other people's needs and feelings because you've gone through it. So I think, to me, in that respect, that's how someone starts gauging their success. Because I think that would be very a position of being, I'm successful, in my own self, because I have, I've risen over all these hard times.
You'd be able
and I'm
to
still true to myself,
mm-hmm.
and I'm still in love with the world and people around me. Not that everyone makes you happy, but you're not jaded to the point where you're sitting there every day saying life sucks. Mm-hmm. I hate my life. I hate this. I hate that. I don't see that as being successful. So, I mean, when it comes to life, there's no answer. Life is an answer that everyone has to ask themselves and has to work it through on their own. But I think as long as everyone is aspiring to be the best that they can be, to find that contentment in their life and that joy within themselves, I think
being
that's
positive.
People, absolutely. I mean, that goes without saying. I mean, you can't find those great things without being positive. And I think when you have that, at the end of life, you can look back, and I'm sure that at that point people will say, I've been successful with what I've wanted to do, and here I am.
All right. Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
We'll be back with another topic, another interesting topic, and we'll see you.